Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Well, we've talked a lot on this show since the CARES Act, where both of these filthy, corrupt parties, Trump signed off on it, no problem. The Democrats who claim to resist Trump at every turn had no problem with signing off on the CARES Act. Within it, the CARES Act, $4.25 trillion in bailout for the American people? Nope, nope, nope. For Wall Street. So one of the things we've talked about is student debt forgiveness. It would cost roughly $1.5 trillion to just forgive the debts. Just tell the banks, here's the money. The kids don't have to. How much would that help, especially now? People aren't working. Unemployment is running out. We've only had one $1,200 check. Businesses are still closed down. Some businesses are permanently out or gone. So anyone that's out of school and on top of it has a student loan, we should have free college like they've had in Western European countries for decades. Student loan forgiveness would free up a lot of money for people actually to put back in the money, put back into the economy. Imagine you're paying whatever your payment is, $300, $400, $500 a month for your student loan. Now you don't have to pay it anymore. Oh, wow. You could invest. You could buy some stuff. You could hire some more people. You could put all this money back into the economy rather than give it to banks who don't need it. The banks would get the $1.5 trillion from the federal government because just like in the CARES Act, the Federal Reserve just created the money. They could just wipe out student debt. You know what? There's an online petition, something you can get involved with. I already have a college degree, but I shouldn't be a selfish dick and go, well, it's not my problem. No, I want people to have. And if you're just a business owner, a small business owner, or whatever, more people who have more money in their pocket every month have more money to spend on stuff. That's just the way our economy works. Pandemic economic response, cancel student loans by executive order. That's right. The president, Congress, the Senate could just write this and overnight, done. You don't have to pay it. Done. They have no problem giving trillions of dollars to Wall Street. Just no problem. When all the how are we going to pay for it crowd? The same way we just gave it to Wall Street. The same way we give $740 billion a year to the defense industry. So we can outspend the next 10 countries combined. We don't need all this military stuff. Trillions could be injected into the economy with no tax money needed. Let me make that very clear. Student debt forgiveness isn't coming out of the American workers' taxes. Your taxes are not going to go up because of this. Do you see what I'm talking about? This is something, if Trump is all about helping the working person, which he isn't, he gave a $1.5 trillion tax break to his billionaire buddies. His trade tariffs with China are hurting American farmers. I've done stories on this. He's not helping out people. This is a way he could do it. Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats aren't helping out Americans either. Both parties, Trump, Pelosi, they're all awful people that don't care. They only care about the billionaire donors that keep them in power. Trillions could be injected into the economy with no tax money needed and nothing added to the national debt. Yes, that's correct. The president, whether the current president or the next, needs new ways to stimulate the economy. After having spent an astonishing $9 trillion towards this end and adding roughly that amount to the national debt, Wall Street has bounced back stronger than ever. Yeah, Wall Street, record profits. Over $400 billion has been made by Wall Street, big billionaire companies like Walmart, Amazon, these companies and the banks and everything. They're making record profits while we're all struggling. But 50 million citizens have lost their jobs. That's almost 20% of the population. And they will not be coming back. This is hurting young people and other vulnerable populations particularly hard. The president has few options left, and every conceivable spending stimulus measure he might enact will undoubtedly require more tax money or will increase the national debt, except canceling student loans by executive order. The president could issue an executive order canceling all the student loans that the federal government holds. Yeah. 85% of all student debt are federal loans. So there's no tax breaks. They don't even, I was incorrect at the beginning of this video. They don't have to like give the money to the banks. They just say, well, you don't have to pay it. You don't own it. See that? Just don't pay it. Doesn't cost you any tax money. Look at that. Nothing would be added to the national debt and no tax appropriation would be needed. This is by far the least expensive and most expedient way to inject trillions into the economy. Congress cannot efficiently cancel student loans. Only the president can. This must happen. This is again showing how dumb the Democrats are. This was Bernie's plan. He said we're going to cancel student loans. This was part of his. If the Democrats hadn't cheated him and Americans just, the vote any blue will do crowd just stood by and let Bernie get cheated because they don't pay attention or they don't care. When the Democrats cheat progressives, they don't seem to care. When the Republicans cheat, oh man, oh, hell hath no fury like a rich, privileged neoliberal who refuses to hold the Democratic Party accountable. Bernie ran on this, and had Bernie not just quit like a quitter, like a crybaby quitter that he is, and now he just goes on Twitter and said, I will be the guy. He should have made his case. This is why you need to elect me over Joe Biden. I will cancel student debt. I will get us out of this mess. Bernie would have like double-digit poll. He'd be like, Bernie is going to be the next president. And he's going to, and everyone would be like, the minute Bernie gets sworn in, we're going to be okay. We just got to get through January. Trillions of dollars. If you're working and you're doing okay, but you have a small business that's dependent upon consumers, you should be like, well, this is good because then more people can have money to spend on my business and spend it into the economy. Make no mistake, before the COVID-19 crisis, this was a failed lending system. 55 million borrowers and cosigners are struggling under $1.8 trillion in debt, up from only $175 billion in 2000. Wow. In 20 years, we've gone up $1.6 trillion about. Whew. Over $100 billion in interest alone is being sucked out of the economy every year. The default rate for 2004 borrowers is 40%, and borrowing has tripled since that time. According to recently resigned chief operating officer of the lending program, 80% of all borrowers will never be able to repay their loans. It's just crushing people. It's crushing their credit scores. It's hurting young people from being able to buy homes and start families. It's not good for our society on any level, and people are struggling right now. So even if you're like, well, I already got a degree, or I never went to college, this doesn't help me at all. Yes, it does. It helps the whole economy. You've got tens of millions of people who suddenly have extra money every month. So let's say you're a landlord and you've got renters who like can't pay and they're behind on their rent and they're just like, sorry, I don't know what to do. We're not working. And you're sitting there going, I might have to sell my place or foreclose my rental property because some of my tenants can't pay. Well, now they might have money to pay you because people don't want to be evicted. See how this could, see how it's trickling down, crushing us right now. But if you erase this, that the president erases this, if Trump seems to care about the American people, he should do this. Biden should at least be running on this campaign. I will do this if you make me president. He'd get a lot of votes. A lot of people go, okay. If Biden said, I'll give you Medicare for all and student debt forgiveness, I might consider voting for him. Just those two things alone might get me to vote for him, but he's not. I'm not going to. You have to get something for your vote. You don't just give someone your vote no matter what. Tell Joe Biden, hey, Joe Biden, I'm not going to vote for you. If you promise Medicare for all and student debt forgiveness, I'll vote for you. Those two things right there would help the economy. But he's not going to say that because he gets money from the banks. He gets money from the insurance industry. He gets money from big pharmaceutical companies. He's not going to say that. Unlike all loans, all other loans in this country, student loans have been stripped of fundamental consumer protections like bankruptcy rights, statutes of limitations, and others. Without these protections, student loans have been weaponized against the very citizens they were supposed to help. The result? Lives and livelihoods are being wrecked en masse. Young people aren't getting married. They're not starting families, businesses, or buying homes. You need the next generation to like buy homes and start businesses, and they're not. Young people are just like driving for Grubhub and Lyft at best. That's better what they're doing. They lost their waiting table jobs. That's gone. Maybe they're working at some tech company, but they got huge student loan debt, so they don't have extra money to save up for a down payment on a house. Or, hey, let's save up a bunch of money and start this business that small businesses create jobs. Nope, nope, nope. They can't do it. This is not right. It was never right. Analysts have predicted that canceling student loans will increase GDP. It'll increase the gross domestic product by about $100 billion for the next 10 years. That's money that all of us will benefit from. Having a third of the population out of work and crushing debt, that's not good for anybody, except the 1%. But they do not take into account the borrowing capacity and thus spending that such a move would free up. This would be another $1 trillion injected into the economy in the near and medium term. Some experts even believe that debt cancellation is the only way to avoid a depression. An economic collapse is coming, but this is something that could really like maybe push it off. Maybe just keep it kind of a recession, but it couldn't. Look what this would do. Look what this would do, because one of the things they talk about, it's not just the $100 billion for the next years, but they do take the borrowing capacity and thus spending. So what that means, let me break that down for you. So let's say you're someone, I'm gonna just use myself as an example. Let's say I have a big student loan debt, right? And I've got to pay whatever the monthly bill is every month. Let's just say it's $400. And that student debt's crushing me. You wipe that out. So now I don't have to pay that. Now I can save more money. And you know what else happens? My credit score improves. So now I can get a small business loan, which that's a way to inject money back into the economy. I get a $50,000 small business loan and I start my business and I hire 2 or 3 people. My business takes off. I pay that loan back with interest. So the bank makes a little bit of money. I've hired some people in my thing or whatever. Or I save it and I buy a house. Same thing now. I got money to buy a house. Great. Again, I'm increasing my credit score, my borrowing capability. If I can buy a house, well, guess what happens when you buy a house? Well, now I got to buy a barbecue and a refrigerator and furniture and all this. That's putting money back into the economy. The house appreciates in value a little bit. That was the American dream. That was how we increased the middle class. That's what they're talking about. Well, you can't do that when you're crushed in debt and then you fall behind and your credit score goes down so you can't get any loans, blah, 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 blah. It's a vicious cycle. The president, whether this one or the next, must reset this failed lending system. President Trump has decried the fact that the government was making so much profit on the loans. The president should create a far more efficient higher education financing system that doesn't wreck the citizen. We should have free college. That, I'll just tell you that right now. Change.org, just free college. Hyperinflate the price of college and enable national threats such as what the Department of Education has become. Rest assured, the taxpayers will be fine. The federal government has been profiting wildly on this lending system for 10 years running. Many years of White House budget data confirm the Department of Education is astonishingly even making a profit on defaulted loans. The federal government should not be profiting off of people defaulting on college loans. That's preposterous. Governments aren't around to profit off of people's misery. Governments are supposed to serve people. They're supposed to take care of the citizens, especially when there's a crisis like, I don't know, a pandemic that shuts down the whole world's economy. Is that something? Is that a crisis? While no one can say with accuracy how much of the $1.5 trillion in outstanding federal loans is interest versus principal, they don't even know. it is likely that the former is significantly larger than the latter, meaning the interest is more than the principal. So we're just wasting money, throwing money in the street. So on balance, the taxpayer should more than break even on such a move. This is a historic opportunity for the president to cure a recession, drain the swamp, create a higher education financing system, and strongly endear himself to tens of millions of voters who would otherwise have, by and large, opposed him this coming November. Wow. Some voting blue will do is go, Graham, don't put that out. You're going to help Trump win. I don't like Trump. I don't want him to win, but this is good for people. The economy is going to collapse. It's going to make this civil war that's already started, it's going to be a nightmare. If we can stave off the economic collapse, there's hope. This is one way to do it. Alan Collins is founder of StudentLoanJustice.org and author of The Student Loan Scam from Beacon Press. I'll put this in the show notes. Change.org/pandemic economic stimulus, cancel student debt loans. I'll put this in the show notes. Sign the petition. I have. If Biden and the Democrats had half a brain, they would be all over this saying, I will absolutely do this. I will cancel student loan debt if you make me president. And he would get a lot of young people. Young people are not excited about Joe Biden at all. I've been to all these protests. I've talked to the Convo Couch people who are on the streets at protests all over the country. Jordan Sheridan from Status Quo. None of those people have come across one single person that's like, yeah, Joe Biden, he's going to help us. They're like, ugh, we're done. This is how you win an election, with policies that tens of millions of people, tens of millions of young registered voters would benefit from. Things that you can point to as a legacy as a president and go, look what I did. Obama can say, I legalized gay marriage. That's part of his legacy. But then he's got all this other awful legacy of I dropped more bombs than Bush. Bush, who's a war criminal, so I'm worse than a war criminal. I gave the banks $1 trillion and still had 6 million foreclosures. I could have saved. Obama could be saying, I saved 6 million homes. And Joe Biden be like, I'm the guy to save this. And we'd all be voting for him. But that's not what the Democrats do. They say Trump bad, Russia, Russia, Trump, Trump. They don't even say the goddamn thing. They didn't bring up Russia in the Democratic convention. That's their cornerstone, right? Russia. And they didn't bring it up. So that means that it's not even that big of a deal. That's just bullshit marketing. Help the citizens. Trump, if you're claiming to do that, or Biden, run on this policy. One of you do something to help people. Thanks for watching the show. Boom. Shave your knuckles for justice. Like, share, subscribe, support what I do at rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. You can sign up for free. If you want premium content on Rockfin, it's only $10. And that $10 gets you premium content from all the content creators. Ron Placone, Whitney Webb, Nico House, Convo Couch, Richard Medhurst, Kim Iverson, many, many others. Check out Rockfin and support the show. Also, I have a Venmo. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. There's Patreon. A lot of great ways to support the show. Thanks for watching.